Welcome, everybody. This is Last One y Nos Vamos podcast.
Today we're going to be talking about the pros and cons of owning a restaurant.
And yeah, guys, so let's get into it.
You're excited to talk about that?
I am, actually. Yeah. I am. Because I feel that it's something that, for our age, it's very uncommon, right? For someone of our age to be talking about it.
Yes.
So I think it's going to be interesting that we have something to say, which is what we're going to mention in this video is stuff that every restaurant owner goes through. Mm-hmm. But I think it's just cool hearing it from our perspective, right, since being the age that we are, you know? Yeah.
And maybe people are like, well, I wonder how is this? Or like, you know, like just questions they might have that we could answer. Yeah.
Of course. For sure. So do you want to start it off?
You go ahead and start it off.
Okay, so are we going to start with the bad or the ugly or the good?
Do you want to do one con and one pro and one con and one pro? Or you want to list all the pros and then all the cons?
I'm going to leave it up to you.
Let's do all the cons.
All the cons first? Okay.
Let's get the bad things out the way.
Sure, right. Yeah, whenever someone says, you want the good news or bad news? I always want bad news first, you know?
Yes.
Alrighty, so I got to...
Let me measure my mic. Okay, we're good.
You're good? Okay, maybe you can try pulling it closer to
No, that's good right there.
Okay. Alrighty, so... One of the ones that I listed here was, and I want a disclaimer. I don't know. We haven't read each other's list, so I feel like maybe we're going to have like where I read stuff that you already wrote down.
All right.
But I think that we can take turns. So like, let's say that if I say something that you were going to say, say something else. And even if it adds up to whatever number, we're just trying to state, you know, all right, things that we noticed. So the number one thing, honestly, it was, we went through it. We're going through it. But I feel like every single restaurant owner can relate to this. And it has to be that you're working long hours, right? And you never stop working. Right. So it's definitely not like I'm clocked in from 9 to 5 or I get to choose my own schedule. You do in the sense of being present maybe, right? But it's still a 24/7, like you're clocked in 24/7 because you're the person they call when something happens. So even if you're on vacation, you're, you know, an hour away, 30 minutes away, whatever, you're still going to be the one that has to respond and has to do these things. Yeah. Unless you hired someone to do it, right? But we're talking about like 2-3 years in, it's still growing. So you're not at that level yet. You're on call basically like 24/7, right? So like, let's say an employee overslept, you got to start cooking or start taking orders, right? If somebody can't cover, you got to put your apron on or you just got to put on your good customer service voice on, you know? Things like that. So those are something that I listed. And then, that was pretty much it. Like, I have another one to list here. No, but that's my pro. But yeah, basically, it's just like being on call 24/7, right? You are never going to be someone who can just enjoy time. I'm not saying it to be dramatic or make it seem horrible because it's not. It gets easier and easier as time goes on. But like I said, you're the number one person that's got to be there. And I feel like having help, you know, helps that because you having your mom, well, like us having your mom, it kind of helps you like in certain cases call her instead of like you going because depending on where you guys are at and everything. But that's the one thing. You're never going to stop working, at least when you start. But it could be a good thing. And I'm going to get to that later. But the bad thing is that you're not going to be someone that can just clock out and then go have your fun. You're always going to be thinking about it or people will call you. So you'll end up thinking about the restaurant. But yes. Now you?
Yeah, so basically I just wanted to kind of touch base more on what you said because that was my first con as well. It's really time consuming and well you guys might say like every business is time consuming, right? Like you don't clock in if you're the owner nowhere, right? You're always on the clock. But with restaurant it's like okay, like you can like let's say you stay overnight, right? You prep everything all day. Okay, you have it ready. Well, guess what? The next day you're gonna have a rush and then you're gonna have to again, right? So a restaurant it's like always like it gets easier, like you said, when you start finding like procedures and like routines and like schedules. Okay, this when I'm gonna make this, you need this much to last the whole week. So at the beginning of your first months or weeks or even years leading up to you opening, unless you're like a big franchise who already has like a cheat sheet that you know like when you buy a franchise, right? But if you're starting like you yourself as the restaurant. It's going to take you some time to like figure out how much this is going to last you or how much you need of this. So I think that's just that's the con, you know, of it takes a lot of time to get it up and going. It takes, it's taking us a few years, to get ours going. And to finally get to the level where you said, like, we're not necessarily clocked in, but we're on call. Right? 24/7. But as time goes, it that lowers. But that's definitely a con that it's really time consuming. And every day is just getting up and, okay, you got to make specials. An employee called off, an employee got sick.
Yeah.
And just figuring out new ways, what's next. And it's always like a non-constant, always thinking.
Right.
It's a constant thinking game.
Yep. I agree.
Yep.
I agree with that.
Do you
have
more cons?
Yes. Do you have more?
Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead. So I have 2 more.
Okay.
Just so you can keep it in perspective. So,
me too.
Oh, cool. So the other one I have is, I wanted to say a disclaimer again, because I feel like I said, we're a restaurant that isn't so like based on like having a bar, right? Having like plates and stuff that we can sell. So we're a taqueria. So we have like a good variety of items that we sell, but obviously we're not going to make as much of a return rate as other restaurants do. So that's what I wanted. That's my second point. We have a smaller return compared to other style of restaurants, right? So that was my example. It's like, if our style of restaurant doesn't generate as much because of location, because of items that we sell, because of pricing, because of how our menu works, right? Like, that's just what I wanted to say. In our scenario, it doesn't mean that we don't make money or that the restaurant doesn't generate money. It does on its own, and to keep growing, right? But I just wanted to mention that, because I know, like, for more other restaurants, it'll be like 30K sales this week, and it's like, whoa, like, that's crazy. But you keep in mind, that's like $10 plus a plate, and then like $2-3 a drink, and you get a drink from the bar, things like that. So it's not discouraging. It's not. I just wanted to throw that in there,
because
on our perspective, on our in our world, the restaurant that we have, that's what it is. Like I said, it's good, but it's not great because of those things. But it could be one day. One day.
Yeah, so we just kind of we sell beer and margaritas, but that's pretty much it. But people don't come in for necessarily for the drinks; they come in for the food.
Yes.
So I mean, just that itself is hard to keep a restaurant running just on food like this.
Right, and then the other thing too is the location, right? Because we have a decent location, but obviously, if we're in a higher trafficked area, such as like downtown, for example, that's gonna go crazy, right? Yeah. But if you're more like in a smaller city, again, it just doesn't have that big rush of customers coming in, because you're not in a super trafficked area.
Yeah, so those points that you made are really good points. That's true, about our business. And something else, I'm gonna say 2 cons. One is short and one is a little bit longer.
Okay.
So the first con is that you're gonna have to be. We already kind of touched base on this, but you're gonna have to be dealing with people 24/7, right? So
like relying on them.
Like relying on them and dealing with them, right?
Ooh.
So,
okay.
Like 24/7. That's your whole like business model, right? Like, because without your employees, it's not a business, right? Unless you're the one like actually going in there and working. Right. Which is fine sometimes too, but even so, you need a cashier, you need a cook, so...
Like, you need your team.
Right, you need a team, and you need to be really good at communicating, because things can go south really quick.
Yes.
So if you're listening to this and you're planning on opening a restaurant, make sure you get those shits in order, because shit goes south really, really quick. Like, if those...
It takes a good, strong leader,
Yeah.
It does.
And, yep. And the second thing I feel like it's a good way for me to end my con, because it's really, really important, is if you're not really well informed, like financially, like about how to run a restaurant, because this is not your normal, let's say you have a retail shop, right? Like, you bring in product, you sell the product, and that's it, right? Like, that's your only balance sheet. Not a balance sheet. Your only, how do you call it when you... Well, your basic like accounting, right? Like, what came in, what came out, and what's the gross profit, right? Like, it's pretty simple, right? But with a restaurant, it's more complex than that. There's more numbers you have to play around with, more percentages. Like, it literally is a percentage game, this whole thing.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, that's one of the cons, that if you come into here thinking, well, let me open up my restaurant, which is kind of what happened with us, because, we just kind of opened it and, just kind of, I like saying, like, we just kind of were flying blind, and somehow, like, we're aiming the right direction, you know, with the blind on. So yeah, basically, you know, if you plan on opening a restaurant, make sure you're really well informed.
Like, I guess it's almost like an advice or something that you would do. Like, it's not necessarily a con.
It's not a con.
But I can see what you're saying. Like, it's better to know it to avoid more problems or more things that you could have started.
So for people listening, it's not going to be a con. Yes, they're aware, right? But to us, it was a con.
Yes.
Because we had to learn the hard way. So many times with taxes and like, oh yeah, well, you didn't pay this, so look, this is your bill for your tax, and like, oh my God. And then dealing with, it's our first time running a business, so dealing with W-2s and doing tax forms for S corporations and LLCs and filing franchise type property tax, and like, you have to know so much, but all of this you can get on YouTube, right? Yes. So just be well informed, and that's one of the cons.
Yeah. Okay. That's actually pretty good. When you were talking about people, or I think we're saying something about relying on people or something like that. It's kind of funny. I thought you were going to go this direction, but I'm going to go in this direction. The one thing that I wanted to say was I think it all ties in little by little with dealing with people, relying on them, as well as the not being informed, not being knowledgeable, right? What I mean by that is there's going to be a lot of bumps in the road, right? Just like any business, as you were saying earlier, there's a lot of things that go on that all businesses may have similarities in, right? Maybe like in the building itself. Like if you have something go bad, like the water, you have like a water leak, that can happen in any business, right? But what I wanted to say is I feel like those things are all similar with other businesses, but keep in mind we're running a business that involves food, right? So there's a lot of waste. There's a lot of things that they didn't close the door right, so that went to waste, or whatever, right? Just little things like that. Like I'm just saying, I just wanted to say how you do hit a lot of bumps in the road, and some examples that I wanted to throw out there that at least we went through. Was I mentioned right now the water leak, right? So our bill went up, right? So our bill's going up, and we're just like, what the heck? And we go, and like they always say that everything is fine, whatever, right? So then eventually somebody tells us, okay, what if you have a water leak? And then we go and see, and it's just like those little things that get you so good because you don't see it coming, you know? But it's something that's what I mean. Like, there's just going to be bumps in the road, and at least I'm just talking on us now. Like, that's what happened. That's one example. So we were paying all this money when had we like even thought about those things, then we would have avoided it 3-4 months back, right? So, and then the other one that I wanted to say was like accountants slacking on their work, right?
You need a good
slacking on their reporting. Like if the taxes are due and they don't really care for you that much as a client, right? Whatever it may be, or maybe they're dealing with bigger restaurants, I don't know, or different people, whatever the case may be, right? Relying on people, relying on contractors, relying on people to do work for you, it is so hard. I feel like that's one of the biggest bumps you're gonna hit. And I hope you don't, right? I'm just trying to say, like, if you happen to hit it, it's honestly not a surprise for us at this point. But just like that, because they're not going to care for your things. They're not going to care for your interests, your financials, for your time, your money, anything, because they simply don't. Like, that's just like, that's a you problem. And they can be selfish, right? But it's dealing with somebody else. And I think that when it comes to things like that, you have no choice but to get that help, right? Like, you need it. But it does suck whenever those people that you choose out of the bunch do you wrong. But
just make sure to be well informed, even though, because we all need an accountant, right? Like if one day we decide to expand more, obviously I'm gonna need an accountant because I'm not about to do accounting for like 4 locations, you know,
right?
Like it gets more complicated. But just be aware, because that can be a really big con. Because it came to the point where we got so tired of getting fucked over, where we're just like, we're going to do everything.
We can do it ourselves.
We're going to cancel all the contracts. We're going to, you know what? Nope, I don't want your service. I can do payroll by myself.
Yeah.
I can do my own accounting. Like, it's come to that point where it's good that we're learning. Like,
because we become more knowledgeable, right? So that way, the moment that we are able to be blessed enough to have more locations, when we get with somebody, we'll know that no, like, we'll know that they're doing it good, or if they're messing us up and they're trying to,
And that's what I was gonna say too. Like, a lot of people are gonna come up to you and try to sell you things.
Yes.
Like they're so nice at the moment. Hey, you want to save 20%? Yeah, you no processing fee, no. But all of that is like really take a step back. Don't be like me. Like I'm not gonna mention stuff like
no, but like, and don't act on impulse.
Yeah, don't act
truly.
like, oh, that sounds
don't act
good.
on
like,
impulse. And every
calm
way.
down. Yeah.
And every way, even if you.
I'm victim to this.
Even if, let's say, you have like a parking lot outside, right? And you have like a plant area and someone happened to hit it, they knocked it over, right? And if somebody walks in your door and says, hey, I'll fix that for you, whatever. Like, I know, like, that's a good option, but I mean to say, like, even that alone is an impulsive decision. Not because the guy, like, not because the guy is offering himself, which is good, right? But maybe just kind of get more estimates. Be like, okay, how much would you charge me?
Yeah.
And don't go with him because maybe the same work he did, because he's just doing it, like, on his own time, he doesn't work for anybody. It may be cheaper, but then again, what if it's not? What if this guy's, like, a lot, and you're just like, damn, like, I really paid that much just because I wanted it done right now.
Yep.
When if you would have looked at at least 2-3 other people, you could have gotten like a better range of what that would have costed.
Yep.
But yeah, it's something so small, or there's obviously bigger things where, like, yes, somebody comes in, hey, we're offering this merchant service, and okay, everything sounds good, sign here, you know, and you're gonna read the contract, but maybe you missed something, or maybe something that you didn't see on paper, but he told you verbally, you kind of believe that, and then you're locked in on a contract that you're just like, oh snap. That's what I'm saying. Just kind of
the point we're trying to make here is trust nobody.
Pretty
like
much.
Right here, you're like, when you're out in the real world, you have your own business, you're like a lone wolf. And it's like, pretend there's a lot of like, you're a wolf, and then there's a lot of like packs, and the companies are like the packs trying to attack you. You know, that's kind of how you can see it. Like, just be aware of your surroundings.
Right. It's just you, your business, that's your baby, and the team that helps you run that and take care of that baby, right? So that's just it, and it's okay to get help. Right?
Be careful with them too.
That's what I'm saying. Just you gotta be good at choosing your team members, right? Your employees, as well as the people that you want to work with, right? Because it can go south, but there we can get into a deeper conversation because there's so many things like starting businesses with family and friends, getting into contractors, you know, how they mess you up, taxes, employees. Whatever, hiring employees, employees doing you wrong. There's just so many things, right? But I feel like all of those things are overall. But we just kind of wanted to tie in a little bit of cons that we see more on the daily side or pretty often that come up or have come up in the past.
There's obviously a lot of cons, right? But there's also a lot of pros. One pro that I can say personally for me is that it is like just the satisfaction of like being able to run a restaurant. I think like outweighs a lot of the cons, right? Like, because when everything is running really smooth and you have everything under control, your portions are under control, your menu is under control, your employees are under control, you know, like when everything is just controlled, like it can be really like just a really rewarding feeling. You know. And also rewarding financially, you know, like once you got everything running and, you know, you only have to go a few times, you know, less than when you first started. Well, that's, you know, rewarding.
Yes.
You know?
I agree.
That's my first pro.
Okay. I like it. It's very good. Mine kind of ties in with that, just on looking at it as a different perspective by a little bit. I was saying that I like the feeling that you are literally the reason why. Your team, yes, but I'm just saying, like, you know, you as the owner, the recipes you created and everything. Like, it just feels good that you're the reason why a client is leaving happy, right, from the restaurant. Like, they're feeling, like, full, and, like, they're saying, like, it was so good. Because at the end of the day, we all know that food is delicious. And it can bring a really happy feeling to you. When you eat a good meal, like, you feel so happy because it was just delicious. The flavors are right, texture, whatever, right? So I just wanted to say that, like, I like the feeling that we have customers leaving reviews, walking out just happy and just always coming back. Like, that's rewarding because they like what we make. They like the food that we're, you know, making for them and everything, and they're happy. So I just like that we put a smile on somebody's face, even if it is food related, but it's true, you know?
For sure.
So that's mine.
For sure. That's it for you?
Yes. Okay. That's my first one.
Yeah, no, so for me, I only said one, right?
Yes.
So for me, the other pro from this is that you learn a lot doing this, like being in this business, right? So it's kind of like what we touched upon on the cons. Those cons turn into pros, right? So basically, like everything with the whole tax related and the whole, forming an LLC, S corporation, filing taxes, like you have so much insight and you learn so much. So basically, for us, think about it as like we're some soldiers, right? Think about it as like, I'm gonna put it as a soldier perspective.
Okay.
Like, let's say there's a war going on.
Yeah.
And you have soldiers. You have your trained soldiers and you have your untrained soldiers.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like we were the untrained soldiers who were kind of put like, here, go to war. Yeah. So we had to, stumble. We had to do everything.
Yeah.
But one pro with that is that you catch on real quick. Like once you make a failure, you're damn sure it's not gonna happen again, right? So
Literally.
I think that's a pro that you learn how to like adapt. Like, okay, this happened. How are we gonna get out of here? So you just kind of learn like resilience, right? Like,
yeah, that's true. That's true.
Because you can be down really bad, like
yes,
you can be down thousands, and it's hard, but just finding out a plan. There always has to be a way out, always.
Yes.
And I think that just it's a pro. Just, you learn a lot. You gain a lot of wisdom, and maybe this doesn't work, but guess what? In 4 years, you open up another one, and now you're not starting from scratch.
No,
you're starting at level 50,
all this
right?
knowledge.
Now you're a trained soldier, right?
Yep.
And
I like that. That's true. That's true. I like that a lot, actually. So my second one
was my last pro.
Okay, no worries. Then I'll just say my other two. My second one was using creativity, both in foods as well as promotions, and coming up with ideas that differentiate you with the surrounding areas and locations of restaurants, right? That was one thing that I wanted to put out there. I feel like you can be really creative, especially when you're with food, because you can also think of stuff that you're like, oh, what if I did this? And then you try it and then you're like, wow, this is actually really good. We need to sell this ASAP. Or simply like, okay, what is so-and-so selling? What are they selling? Okay, this. I want to do that, but I want to do something different. I want to add like a little twist in there, right? And you kind of do that. Or you kind of notice, okay, what does everybody else sell that isn't like that they don't, what is everybody else selling that they don't have? Just right. So then you're the first one to be like, okay, I'm gonna put that because nobody else is selling it. Or just simply like promotions, right? Like you said, we did get a good advice from a restaurant. I don't know what you would call him.
Guru.
Sure. Restaurant guru. He gave us some advice, and he was just saying how like you always have to be constantly changing. And I feel like for a long time, you and I were changing, and more so in the ways of like, what's next? Right? How are we gonna like move forward? How are we gonna make more money? How are we gonna like save and like just kind of things like that, right? Like when you're first starting your business, all the things you think about. But we never really thought about, okay, let's change drinks that we have. Maybe those aren't working. Like let's toss those and bring in new ones. Like just things like that, or like food. Like, okay, what doesn't really sell that well? Let's just get rid of it. Why do we keep buying supplies for it? Why do we keep making it and doing all this when it's not selling as much as something else? And that when he told me that, like, it did kind of open my eyes. I was like, if you think about it, he's right, Like, we do things differently. We do have different things and all of that. But it was just kind of cool that, like, that little small comment really did make me realize that it's true. We have to be creative. And it doesn't have to be in dramatic ways, but just in little things like the promotions you do, like your lunch specials, okay? If you've had them for a while, maybe it's time to switch it up. Even just a little bit. Like, just tweak it and see what happens. And maybe pega más,
Right. And then, but yeah, no, there's a lot of, just really quick, there's a lot of engineering that goes with owning a restaurant. Like, you'll be surprised. Like, it's not just, I'm going to do this and, let's get it. Like, no, first you have to literally engineer everything. Yeah. Right? So there's like you only see this, right? People only see this, but there's so much stuff that goes to it that it's a lot of engineering, and prices go up every single day, go down, go up, and just keeping a constant eye. So yeah, for sure.
That's true. Yeah. Indeed, like you said, I feel like behind the scenes could be something as deep as like, okay, let me calculate the food cost and make sure I'm pricing it right.
Yes.
Also to the point where it's like, if I'm already selling this item, now I have to go back and kind of look at my previous months and see how it's been doing, because sometimes it might not even be the food. Maybe it's just the season that you're in. Because maybe you don't, no se te antoja, like, let's say tamales, right, in the summer. Not saying you don't, but I'm just saying it's more likely in the winter time. So, like, if somebody sold tamales all year long, maybe te va bien, but maybe you're like, but it's more beneficial to do it in the winter, so let me do that. And then in the summer, I'll introduce, like, something that's more like, summertime, which can be many things, but that's just an example. And then my third and final one is creating a work family, right? Because I feel like restaurants can be so hectic. You're always going go, especially because your food, so you're always having to make food. Okay, if that's finishing, go ahead and put more food to make because we're gonna need it. Or simply like the rush begins. The most demanding business I feel has to be food. At least food is up there, right?
Yes, for sure.
There's many demanding businesses out there, but food is definitely at the in the top 4 or 5, whatever.
It's stressful.
Yeah, so I feel like because it's so stressful, because it's so like communication, like it's such a key thing.
Yeah.
I feel like it almost kind of grows a bond with the coworkers because of all the work that you're doing under the pressure.
Right.
So then, like,
that's true.
I feel like you clock out and everything, and it's like, oh, like you guys all just like never can breathe, and then you just kind of talk about it, like, oh, today this happened and this, and like you just kind of like you just kind of build like a relationship, and it's just cool. Like I like that. Both our employees feel that way, and even us with them. Like they talk to us, and they're not like, oh, okay, they're coming late. No, like I like that they're also like, oh yeah, the other day this happened and this, and like we can all laugh about little things, restaurant things.
That's true.
But yeah.
No, for sure.
And yeah, so I feel like to finish that off, I just wanted to say, like, I feel like those are my top 3 pros, that, comes with having a restaurant specific. But of course, there's a lot more that maybe I didn't write down on this list. But I just wanted to say, in this conversation, at least, we were talking about restaurants, right? And I just wanted to say, like, if anybody ever has a dream to open a restaurant and open a business, it almost ties into what you were mentioning earlier, is building resilience. Maybe you try to do something. What I'm trying to get here at, because I keep going in circles, is like when you want to start a business, the number one thing before building resilience, that comes second, is loving what you're doing, right? You gotta start a business that you either learn to fall in love with or you simply want it so bad. And because that's going to be your number one motivator. Yeah. Right? A lot of people are going to be telling you, but why? It's stressful. Are you sure? Like this. And I mean, maybe they don't do it from like bad intentions, right? Especially maybe like your close family members, but they don't do it out of bad intentions. It can just simply be like, are you sure, like this and this? But if you don't love it, you're going to,
it's going to be hard.
You're going to, what is it? Like fill into that. No, you're going to like buy into that, right? Mm-hmm. But if you love it, you're just going to be like, well, but it's okay. Like, I got this. And, like, you're going to keep going. Yeah. And if you do keep going, with that comes resilience. Like, let's say you opened your business. It didn't go well. Things don't go the way you wanted it to. At the end of the day, you're going to build resilience, right? Like, it can suck so bad. It can hurt so bad because, trust me, we've been there, done that. But it's like, even though it hurts, right there, little do you know, like, you're building resilience, right? Yeah. And that's almost like something that you as a person are going through that maybe other people might feel and might see it. But it's like, because you love your business so much, like, just that feeling of, like, it failing or something, it hurts. But build resilience on that, right? Because let's say that it didn't work out, but then give it a couple years, a couple months, you try again, and this time it works. Or like you were mentioning earlier, like, now okay, all of that didn't go well. I'm not going to do that ever again. I'm going to start this from day one before I even put the money down, before I even invest in anything. I'm going to map out everything that I need to do. It won't go perfect. I can definitely tell you that. But I feel that because you already built that, like, strong mentality, the knowledge that you gained, you're going to go in there with a clear plan and not being as impulsive as we were saying. So I just kind of do that. I just wanted to throw that in there. Like, if you want something so bad, go for it. It can get hard. It will get hard. It becomes like a lone wolf situation because at the end of the day,
most of the time,
this is your baby. This is almost like if you had a kid and like you're on leave and you can't hang out with the outside world, right? And it may get sad or may get lonely, right? Maybe not sad. Maybe you love it so much that you're not sad, but you realize, like, damn, like it's just me in this restaurant and this team, right? But that's okay. That's okay. That's resilience. That is resilience, because eventually you're going to find your niche. You're going to find your people that are into that too. Yeah. Or eventually you're going to grow your business where you get to step away and now you get to enjoy life. And that's when you'll meet like the real people that are supposed to be around you, like everything, right? But I just wanted to say that, like, this is for business specific, but also with anything. I feel like when you go through stuff, all you got to do is just, take that hit and get back up.
Yep.
Right? That's what everybody says. Our parents always said that, right? But it's true. It's true. But I just wanted to say that.
Yeah. No, and a really important quote that from reading David Goggins' book, he talks about how you never fail. Like, it's always your first attempt, right? So if you guys think about it that way, like, you don't fail, right? Like, you don't fail at nothing. Like, okay, you didn't pass your test. Guess what? That's your first attempt. Go again, right? So even something as big as, okay, you had $1 million company, right? It failed. Your first attempt. Make the second one, make it a multi-million company, right? So just think about that mindset of you just never fail. It's just your first attempt, right? It's just attempts, right? So that's a good way to end it for
I think we ended
for our big audience on YouTube, 300,000 subscribers. Thank you guys. We love you guys so much.
Speaking into existence.
No, but we actually gained a subscriber. Hey.
No, that's good. That's good. Little by little, you guys. Little by little. I'm just gonna take it chill. At the end of the day, this is just. It's a, what is it? What's the saying?
What's it? Dude, sure.
This is something, not a race. What does that go? How does that go?
It's not a race, it's a marathon. Okay, thank you guys, bye. That's what it's called. It's not a race, it's a marathon.
But I'm trying to say it the other way, where like the slow and steady wins the race.
Oh, slow and steady wins the race.
Okay.
Yeah. So basically the same thing. It's not a sprint, it's a marathon.
Oh yes. I'm sorry, I was thinking sprints.
It's not a sprint. It's a long journey, long marathon.
It's a long journey, you guys, but that's life. That's life, and you gotta make it. You gotta do what you gotta do, and I feel like do what makes you happy. You know, whatever that may be. But you guys. So thanks for tuning in. This is episode
number. I don't know. I forgot to be honest.
We slacked for a week, you guys, but like life was lifing. Okay. Yes. But we're back into it, and I'm excited. I'm excited for what's to come.
Yes. Thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll see you guys next time.
Bye.